Hi everyone, Nadine here again with Tracy and myself. This is week number 2. So obviously after the introduction, I was a little bit curious of what my ACE score was, and I did have a few comments asking how they will find out their ACE score. I was just wondering if you could help me with that, Tracy.
Yes, very good question, and completely expected, because that's what all of us are like. As soon as we hear about ACEs, the first thing we want to know is, what's my score? Like, that is just a perfectly natural response to that, and you want to get in there and look at the list and mark them all off and find out your score. So I'm not going to be very popular, because what we're actually going to be saying today is, please don't get hung up on the score issue. And I just want to qualify my reason for saying that. And to do that, I just want to explain a little bit about the original ACE study, where the scoring came from. Because the original study, which was done across like 17,500 people, was a huge study to look at the impact of early childhood experiences and the impact in adult life on mental and physical health. And in order to do that study with that many participants who are completing a study of 450 questions each, you have to put some boundaries in. And so otherwise the study would be huge and it would go on forever. So what they did is they picked 10 areas of negative childhood experiences, and that's what they marked people against in order to get the results that we talked about last week. So
Okay.
Those original 10 included things like physical and verbal abuse and emotional neglect, and they included other topics such as a parent being in prison and things like that. But they didn't include, obviously, every negative childhood experience that you can go through. So what happens is, when people say, I want to know my score, and they mark it against the original 10, then sometimes they'll come back and they'll go, oh, well, actually, my score's quite low, but that doesn't match up with how I feel my childhood was. I was under a lot of stress, and there were a lot of bad things that happened. And what I would say is, that original 10 was in order to complete that study, but your real ACE score is your story, it's your own experiences. And yes, you will, you might mark off some of those 10, but you also need to take into account other childhood experiences you had that had a negative impact on you that aren't on that original list. So, for example, for myself, when I was a toddler, I had a really nasty injury. I fell over, I cut all of my face, I had a really traumatic hospital experience, and that had a huge impact on me, and in terms of the amount of stress that caused me as a toddler, and the impact of that as I progressed through my childhood in terms of how I felt self-conscious when I went on to school and was bullied because of the injuries to my face, those kind of things. Now, that wouldn't have been on that original 10, but that was a huge negative experience for me. So what I would do is I would take whatever my ACE score was off that list of 10, and I would add a point on for that. And what I'd encourage people to do is to think about their experiences, just spend a moment just reflecting on some of the things that had a negative impact on them. It could have been hospital experiences, it could have been negative experiences at school, such as being bullied. Anything that you know had a negative impact on you, you would mark that down as a point to give you just a snapshot of, okay, how impacted was I by ACEs? But to do that, you have to really look after yourself in that, because when we look at those scores, it can actually be quite stressful. And I would say, be kind to yourself, and actually, if you're not having a good day, and a lot of us are having stressful days because we're in a pandemic, if you're having a stressful day and you're already feeling a bit low, that's not the day to be checking out your ACE score and thinking about that. It really isn't. What we're doing on this wellbeing journey is we're just getting an understanding of our experience, of our stories. And then what we're doing is we're looking at the other side of it, which is the well-being part of it, which is going, do you know what, that same scientific research that has shown the negative impact also provides this huge body of evidence around how incredibly amazing our bodies and our brains are to heal and to recover from childhood trauma. And the reason why a lot of us are still impacted by our experiences is because we just don't have that knowledge. So it's not that there's anything wrong with us. It's not that, you know, we're stuck like this and this is our lot and we're always going to struggle with anxiety or struggle with depression or struggle with our anger or struggle to concentrate and that's our lot. No, actually we just didn't have the information, and that's what this journey is all about. It's about getting the information out to people so they start to realise, yeah, do you know what, I've had those experiences and they've left a bit of an impact on me, but my brain is amazing and I've got the plasticity of the brain to form new pathways, to change the chemical balance in it. As I do that, that will have a huge impact on my health, you know, to feel physically better as well as mentally better, to have a better quality of life. There's so much research that shows that those childhood experiences have an impact, but that's not the end of the story. We can develop that resilience. So I would just say, yeah, we want to know our ACE scores, but be kind to yourself and focus on also the other side of that coin, which is that's not the end of the story.
Okay.
But I'm guessing you're still curious, right?
A little bit, yeah. But it makes sense how you're putting it, so I can stop thinking about that and look forward to what more the journey can bring and what more is more eye-opening, really. So
yeah, so
put a stop to
it. So yeah, absolutely, people can, you know, look at their ACE scores and later on that might be something we look into. But what I would say is more important is actually just reflecting on the impact of your experiences. The actual number, less important. What's more important is you just, for each of us, taking that look inside and going, what was the impact? What do I struggle with as an adult now because of that? And what do I struggle with now with my parenting because of that? And then those are the bits we can do something about. So that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at some of these strategies to understand ourselves and to make positive changes. And yes, alongside that, we're also going to be going that a little bit deeper into understanding ourselves a bit more and why we do what we do. So okay, we're going to do a bit of both.
Okay, so do no one look at your ACE score. Don't do it. Just hold, wait, just be patient. What's the next clip, Tracy?
Just hold fire. So the next clip, just very much along those lines, and because I'm really aware that, you know, things are tough right now, you know, we've seen the news, we're just concerned. We've finally got the kids back to school and now we're thinking, are they going to stay at school or are they coming back home, you know, and or we're just hoping for those people who've got littlies, you know, just provisions starting to open up and they might be able to socialise and see family and get to mums and toddlers, and there's a little glimmer of hope, and now we feel like, oh, has that been taken away again? It's so stressful. And so the same strategies that help us overcome our ACEs are the exact same strategies that help us manage the everyday stress that we've now got on top of that with COVID. So this is going to be a short clip explaining why we get stressed, what happens when we get stressed,
okay,
and then what we can do about that. So little disclaimer, some of these clips that really explain it well are not necessarily related to us here in Ramsgate. You know, they've been made in America and they're pitched towards helping children in classrooms. So put that to one side and really just think about the content of what they're saying rather than the setting that they're in, because the information is really, really helpful. And then next week we're going to talk about it a little bit more and unpick it and relate it to us and parenting.
Oh, thank you. Fantastic. I look forward to your clip, Tracy.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing your feedback from it too.
Yeah, it's a bit scary, but yes, I'm looking forward to it. But thank you again for answering my query about the ACE score as well. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And I just would encourage everybody this week, till we meet again, just look after yourselves and stay safe in it all, and be kind to yourself. Don't put yourself under unrealistic pressure, because at this time we can only do what we can do, can't we? So
yes, no, definitely. Thank you again, Tracy, and I'll speak to you next week.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Take care. Bye.